This week in Pure Reinvention.
It's really hard for people to ask for help. But if you make it easy for them to ask for help, then and connect an action in a way, you can move forward.
Episode 95, Pure Reinvention Short. Connect with Carrie Ramirez.
Engage, disrupt, adapt, repeat. You're listening to Pure Reinvention, the podcast for curious people.
Welcome to this episode of Pure Reinvention, where we create space for the unexpected by inspiring a reinvention lifestyle. Here with my co-host, Jody Parker. Jody, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
Jody, we are showcasing Carrie Ramirez doing a short, and for our listeners' benefit, they need to understand you actually know Carrie.
I do know Carrie.
And you've had some projects where you've worked together and some great ways in which you've been able to apply the Pure Reinvention 5 steps.
Yes, I have had the opportunity and continue to have the opportunity to work with Carrie on her work with our school district.
Carrie talked about really 3 elements to connect. She talked about people, she talked about actions, and she talked about opportunity. Jody, when it comes to people and what motivates them, why is that important?
It's important because if people aren't motivated, if they aren't interested in what you have, then there isn't much room for movement. So you have to engage people, you have to get them excited, you have to get them involved in what you're doing.
And then when you move to the action step, Carrie talked about the law of accumulation and the importance of taking small bites, which add up to eating the elephant in its total.
Right.
Talk a minute about the importance of only taking on those small bites so that you can manage those well and feel like you've accomplished something.
When you don't take small bites, you end up with this large mass of information that can really be overwhelming. And when you get to that place, it gets very difficult to decide how to separate it and what goes in what order. When you're piling the whole thing in at the same time, it's almost impossible to find where the starting point should be.
So by experience, Carrie
Yes.
has been able to, and you've been able to understand that there's only a certain amount we can take on at any one time, and the experienced executive has to think through what is my capacity, and Carrie talks about that. The third thing that Carrie really talked about was the understanding of opportunity, and that opportunity comes from us listening to the universe. What does that mean?
So to me, sometimes you find opportunities by chance. Once you get out and you start looking and you start moving around, you find the opportunities you were supposed to find. And these opportunities will then lead you to the next one and the next one. And before you know it, you've got all of the pieces to this puzzle that you've been looking for.
I think what's absolutely amazing that this has been something that people have been able to document. When we get out and we make ourselves open to all the messaging that goes on in the world, which happens in a lot of different ways, the messages are already out there. We have to open ourselves up and let us receive them. And I think Carrie has reminded it, the messages are out there. Are you ready for them?
Yes, Carrie is great at being able to piece those together. She might not have the answers right away, but she's great at breaking it down and figuring out where you need to go for those pieces. So she's very good at connecting the different opportunities that are out there to be had.
Carrie makes a great podcast guest to do the short on to talk about how important Connect is, because she's a person that's applying it.
This week's episode is sponsored by Willpower Consulting. Whether it be pursuing new avenues in content delivery like podcasts or developing a sustainable content building strategy, Willpower Consulting is with you every step of the way. Get a dose of willpower at WilliamRCarlson.com or at William R. Carlson on Twitter.
Welcome to this edition of the Pure Reinvention Short. We had Carrie Ramirez on about a month ago talking about her work with Pure Reinvention, and it was very interesting for me to listen to her passion about this Connect step. And so we've asked Carrie to give us a kind of a 5-8-minute tutorial in this short about how we make Connect our best weapon.
So Connect as a best weapon. I think when we talked before, you said my eyes lit up when I talked about connection. I never would have thought of it as a weapon, but I can see where it's a hugely powerful tool. A lot of people can only see the dots as they connect one by one. I think what's really worked well for me is trying to see the web of connections. And I can see it in people, I can see it in actions and opportunities. And, if we walk through that a little bit, one at a time, I think you can start to see how connections can be so amazing and change things so much. So if I start with people, I don't think that I'm a person that connects necessarily easily with people, but I can understand them very quickly. So I can see where they're coming from and what might be pushing them in a certain direction. And I think that helps me connect. But the nice thing about connecting with people is that so many good things come out of it. So if you connect with a person, especially when you connect with someone that you really had difficulty with, and the aha moment of, oh my gosh, I get it, why they were so passionate, why they were so angry, why they made my life so difficult, then you come from a different place. I spend a lot of time watching kids' movies and reading kids' books, but there's one, Ender's Game. They talk about the only way to beat your enemy is to know them so well that you can love them. And to some extent, that's true. If you know so much about a person and understand them so well, first of all, I guess you could hurt them really badly, but you can also help them amazingly well. So if you know what you're dealing with, whether it's a difficult personality, someone who doesn't have confidence, someone has too much confidence, someone that has a really hard time seeing where things go next, or they jump ahead, if you can assess those personalities and connect the right people together, you can come out with something that's amazing because it's balanced, because I can take my skills and my strengths and maximize those and minimize my weaknesses because I've balanced them out with someone else who has the strengths that I don't have. So that's the connection part I see with people. And I've done that in my own team at work. I don't necessarily gather people that all look the same and have the same skills, but they complement each other so that when we have a problem, we can pick up the phone and call the expert. And I don't have to know it all because I don't know it all, and I never will. So that's the people side of it. The other side, I think, is actions. Sometimes the littlest actions connected can make a huge difference. And I guess a really simple way of thinking about this for me is it's really hard for people to ask for help. But if you make it easy for them to ask for help, and connect an action in a way, you can move forward. So one of the best lessons I ever learned was if you have someone going through some hard time and say they're sick, they need help that way, it's easier to say, hey, I'm going to the store, can I pick up something for you, than to say, hey, what do you need? Because they don't know what they need. But they do know that they're out of milk. And so when you go and you connect that action of, I'm going to the store and I would love to do something for you, it makes it easier. And so the connection of actions also helps because, again, if you're connecting people's actions, things that I love to do with things that you love to do, and then you come out with something much better. And so, again, it's almost like additive. It expands and grows because you get something much cooler out of it than just doing it by yourself. The other connection I want to take advantage of is opportunity. So I try to listen to my intuition. I sometimes call it listen to the universe. It's pushing me in that direction again. When I think of it that way, I think, okay, well, I didn't see this as an opportunity, but something's knocking on my door. So if I can connect what I have now and grab that opportunity and go to the next one and the next. So, for example, if I think of, I want to build community in this space, and then I suddenly talk to someone that has a passion for writing or cooking or whatever, and they're like, I wanted to teach people to write or cook or whatever, and I have no interest in doing that. That's an opportunity. Give them the space to do it and create that opportunity, and you're connecting an opportunity for the community with an opportunity for this person to grow and change and do what they want to do. So, if I think about those three things, people and actions and opportunities, it's kind of the essence for me of what Pure Reinvention is all about. Moving things to a new and better place. I've said for a long time I want to do something that makes a difference, and obviously I'm not going to create world peace or anything like that. But if I can make a difference in my own little space and make it, better, faster, all around more amazing, then that's good enough.
If you're ready for a change, make it a change that lasts. Make it Pure Reinvention.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pure Reinvention. Keep the conversation going and get alerts when new podcasts are up by following us on Twitter at Pure Reinvention or sign up for our mailing list at purereinvention.com.